All right, excellent. So welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee's Sunday online live streaming service. And we have a great crowd here in the sanctuary. And we also have some of our members are joining us on the Zoom. So we're getting better and better at this hybrid technology, but it's always a little stressful. We have our whole team this morning that's been working together. So Reverend Rick came in and got things really straightened out well on Friday. And Justin's here working with the sound, and Sawyer's working on the hosting us. And so, we're really uptown here today. So very excited. Anyway, I want to welcome you to our live streaming service. We are here in Carnelian Bay, in North Lake Tahoe, and it's my joy to welcome you here. Whoever you are and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. We know that there are many paths to God, but they all end in oneness and in love. We're excited about our new Moonshot Vision Statement. It's based on the congregational visioning process that we did. It's been about a year we've been working on it, and we completed this in the fall. So if you would bring up that slide for our vision graphic. Okay, so it's the picture. There we go. All right. So if you would read along with me, our vision is embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. And what are we passionate about? We are a loving and inclusive spiritual community that supports and inspires healing, prayer, and personal growth. And what are we best at? We practice and teach spiritual principles through Sunday services, meditation,
classes, experiences,
creative
nature,
and what is our resource
creative
engine?
expression.
Divine Source sustains us through our dedicated and creative people, socially relevant principles, versatile sacred space within a magnificent natural setting. All right. And next we have our receptivity statement to begin our service. If you could also read along with me on this one. I am here by divine appointment. Something I'm about to hear applies to
my life.
Open, receptive, and willing to explore possibilities. All right. Now this morning, our musician is Callie Hansen. And we've been hearing Callie over the last year on Zoom, and she's been putting together these beautiful videos, very professional. And this is one of the talents she developed during COVID. But now she's as excited as we are to have her back in person. And she's still doing some new things this morning. So help me welcome Callie Hansen.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here as always. And especially glad to be back. It's been a while. One of the first song I'm going to perform this morning is called Angel. It's a favorite of mine, and it just called to me this week, so I hope you enjoy it. Spend your time for that second chance, for a break that would make it okay. There's always some reason to feel not good enough, and it's hard at the end of the day. I need some distraction, oh, a beautiful release. Memories seep from my veins. Let me be empty, oh, and weightless, and maybe I'll find some peace tonight. In the arms of the angel, fly away from here, from this dark, cold hotel room, and the endlessness that you fear. Oh, you are pulled from the wreck wreckage of your silent reverie. You're in the arms of the angel. May you find some comfort here. So tired of the straight line, and everywhere you turn, there's vultures and thieves at your back. That storm keeps on twisting. You keep on building the lies that you make up for all that you lack. It don't make no difference. Oh, escaping one last time. It's easier to believe in this sweet madness. Oh, this glorious sadness that brings me to my knees. I'm in the arms of the angel. Fly away from here, from this dark, cold hotel room, and the endlessness that you fear. Oh, you are pulled from the wreckage of your silent reverie. You're in the arms of your angel. May you find some comfort here. I'm in the arms of my angel, and I find some comfort here.
Thank you, Callie. The arms of an angel. This is a place we all want to be. There's those times when we just really want to be there, you know. And we also, this morning, we have one of our wonderful practitioners, Nancy O'Neill. And she is here with us in the sanctuary. And besides being the lead practitioner for our center, Nancy finds some time with some assistance from her husband, Tom, and from Penny Schuller to keep our lawn sprinklers working and caring for our landscaping outside. And this year, since we cleared all those needles away, they've got some water. We've got some beautiful flowers that are growing around our property. So if you might want to check those out on your way in or out this morning. But for now, please help me welcome Nancy to provide this morning's invocation and the spiritual reading.
Thank you, Pam. You guys hear me? Am I here or not? Okay.
The podium mic?
Am I on? Okay.
Yeah, you're on now.
Okay, thanks. So if you'll just join me for an opening prayer. And we just do that by really taking some deep breaths. We just finished our morning meditation, so we're still kind of in that space. But for all of you who haven't been yet, just breathe in and breathe out and center yourself in this space. And just allow all of that outside world to go for a little bit of time as we move inward. And this morning, I was just thinking in gratitude about summer, about the beauty of the lake, about the air. It's been pretty warm air, but the crisper air or the cooler air in the mornings and the evenings, and just the green of the trees and flowers and the activities of summer, and just in gratitude for being part of that. And so this morning, as we think of that love and joy and beauty that surrounds us, we know that we are part of that, as we are all really one. There is just that one mind. And we join in with that one mind. And knowing what that one mind is, it's the mind of God. It's our mind. It's God's mind. It's everyone's mind. And so we know that that's mind is what is creating this beauty and joy around us and love. And so in knowing that, we know that this service this morning touches hearts, touches minds, and joins us, connects us to one another and to those on Zoom too. And in gratitude for that also, and in gratitude for these after times of COVID, that we can be together again. And so I just allow these words to move out into that incredible cosmic universe that is always there for us and always ready to say yes. And so in knowing that, I just allow that to be as we say together, and so it is.
And so it is.
So this morning's talk actually is, or the theme is Pulled by Vision, and today's talk is entitled, Is Your Commitment Greater Than Your Resistance? So I'm reading actually from Science of Mind magazine. It's called From Desperation to Inspiration. Inspiration is a dynamic flow of energy that infuses one's being with passion. It is powerful, purposeful, and productive. It often flows from intuitive experiences, and it can be encouraged and nurtured. When one is inspired, there is hopefulness, joy, and enthusiasm. The words used by an inspired being are quite different from the words used by others. In fact, an onlooker might categorize an inspired being as irrational or not being in the real world. The inspired soul is sourced from the inner fountain of divine magnificence. Thus, the inspired being might readily proclaim, I am peaceful, powerful, and poised, for I know who I am. This being will also saturate the mind with many other thoughts, such as I am standing in the cockpit of my magnificence and I love it. Patanjali, an Eastern writer, says, when you are inspired by some great purpose, some extraordinary project, all your thoughts break their bonds. Your mind transcends limitations. Your consciousness expands in every direction, and you find yourself in a new, great, and wonderful world. This speaks of the inspired being who is also illumined. This speaks of the inspired being who is also an illumined being. For us to move from desperation to inspiration, our mind must be on fire with divine desire. We must be conscious of what we are telling ourselves about the events and experiences in our lives. Are we using the language of desperation or inspiration? So I'm just going to invite Kelly back up for another song. Thanks for being here, Kelly. My pleasure.
So this next song is called You Say. It's by Lauren Daigle.
Use the mic, Kelly.
Oops, is it on now? Oh, good. It's on now. The next song is called You Say by Lauren Daigle. I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I more than just the sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. You say I am loved when I can't feel a thing, and you say I am strong you say I am held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. Oh, I believe. The only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth, in you I find my identity. Oh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. And you say I am strong when I think I am weak. And you say I am held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. Oh, I believe. I'm taking all I have and now I'm laying it at your feet. You have every failure, God, and you'll have every victory. Oh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. And you say I am strong and I think I am weak. And you say I am held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. And I believe, oh, I believe what you say of me. Oh, I believe, oh, I believe, yes, I believe what you say of me. Oh, I believe.
Thank you, Callie. You know, in this song, the writer, Lauren Daigle, is comparing the person that she thinks she is when she's in her little human mind with what Spirit's telling her who she is, which is that greatness, that intention, that wholeness that God and Spirit intended us to be when we were created in the very first place. And in every moment is always open to us if we just let go and trust Spirit. And that's what we're talking about today. You know, overcoming that resistance that we have of thinking that we've got to do it all ourselves and that we're just here by ourselves. And it's a very different picture when we see ourselves as part of the one. You know, from that higher consciousness, we perceive that Spirit created us with its intention to express the divine qualities of love, of peace, of joy, and beauty, wisdom. Those are all a part of our DNA. And if we just connect with that. And so from that higher consciousness, it becomes clear that that we are one with all people and with all things, right? Our soul connects with that universal spiritual principles, such as loving our neighbor as ourselves. These are there from the ancient wisdom, regardless of what religion or non-religion that we follow. It's that spiritual connection that is true of life itself. Now, so today, when we ask that question, is your commitment greater than your resistance? We're checking in with us within to see whether or not our thoughts and actions are in sync with our vision, right? Are we expressing these divine qualities? Are we living by those spiritual principles that we believe to be true? And how can we rise to that higher level of existence, towards that peace on earth that we would aspire to? Now, the first principle I'd like to talk about today is that principle is not bound by precedent, right? We have to be careful that we don't get caught in this vicious cycle of being limited by what's been the way in the past. Just because it's been that way from time immemorial, or just yesterday, or the last 10 times you tried to do something, it doesn't have to be that way now. All right. It is as we believe. We talk about mental equivalence. And so it's done unto us as we believe. And so if we're believing it's going to be set by that president, well, then that's what we get. But if we open ourselves up to something higher, to those infinite possibilities of the way things could be, then that is what Spirit will manifest for us. There's a difference between probability and possibility. Now, in probability, we talk about there's a 25% chance that this could happen. Conversely, there's a 75% chance that it won't happen. But that's the probability. Any individual instance could be anything on the whole spectrum, right? And so this is why our thinking, our intention is so important. They talk about the double slit experiment in science, where the very act of observing the experiment affects the outcome. So there's something going on. They haven't quite figured it all out to match up the science with the spirituality, but there's definitely something going on where our observation, our intention, and connecting with Spirit, for me, I know it makes a difference. And so that means that all outcomes are possible. And this is also where the whole thing over time of paradigm shifts come along. That, everyone thought that we were going to sail off the edge of the world until we didn't, right? If we didn't move past the precedents, the Wright brothers would have never learned to fly, right? The scientists that developed this new mRNA vaccine against the COVID-19, they would have stuck with the same old tried and true ones. But they went beyond to something new and to greater possibilities. So in The Science of Mind, well, actually in the book called It's Up to You by Ernest Holmes, he says, one of the greatest stumbling blocks in any man's spiritual advancement is dishonesty. The refusal to honestly face an idea, if that idea happens not to please him, this comes in part from the human tendency to take the line of least resistance, to stick with the familiar, whether it be in our physical endeavors or in the operation of our mind. Confronted with an idea that repudiates one we have held for years, we go far out of our way, entirely around the idea, to keep from being compelled to analyze and possibly to absorb it. Our cry is, I do not like to believe that. Right? Back of this idea is fear. That an idea may be forced on our consciousness, which will uncover us to our own responsibility. And maybe life could be different. And maybe we're what's standing in the way of what we really truly desire. Now, when we think we understand something, or we've been told that something is true, our ego can find it very difficult to even consider that another explanation is possible. We resist change, even if that change is good for us. Right? Now, envisioning, it's very different than visualization. Visualization, you're just looking at the physical world and seeing what things could be. But envisioning, we first shift our consciousness into oneness with Spirit. And it's from this altered state of mind, if you will, of oneness, that we then envision what those higher possibilities are. And we get a glimpse of that infinite possibility, urging itself into expression from Spirit, in us, through us, and as all of creation around us in every direction. Wholly new possibilities. We could see humans landing on Moon, and now it's Mars. We want to go farther, right? We would have, without being able to shift our vision, we would have never seen that abolishing slavery was a good idea, right? Or to see past the impact of systemic racism that disguised in things that we think is totally normal. Well, just because it's normal doesn't mean that it's the intention of Spirit, of wholeness, and of treating all people as one. When I was a woman engineer, civil engineer, I needed to be brave enough to speak up as a valuable team member. There was more and more as I went through my career, more people were there to support me, but there was those ones that I ran into that thought that I should be home and taking care of my husband and raising children and doing all those kinds of things. But I had to remember who I was. I had to remember that I had important strengths to offer on the team member. It wasn't always comfortable for me, but and some of the people I encountered, but it was worth it. I was a trailblazer to lay that path, to set the new paradigm. And as I watched the engineers that were 10 years younger than me, and definitely 20, they met both men and women. They thought, well, women engineers, well, sure, of course, and the percentages got, more and more balanced over time. But they thought it was perfectly normal. They wouldn't think anything of working with a man or woman engineer. They had equally good qualifications. So it's something that processes over time. So we have to be willing to be that person that goes out on the edge and lets that higher possibility come through. Now, the second thing I'd like to talk about today is that in order to move beyond resistance, we have to raise our anchor. We have to let go of the familiar and what's, this place that might be very uncomfortable, but we know it. We know what the parameters are around us. And so if you look at an anchored boat, all right, so we have a lot of boats moored out here on the buoys this summer. And so when the boat puts down the anchor, it's going to keep it tied to one place. Okay, well, that's a good thing. You want your boat to be there in the morning when you go out to get on it. But while it's anchored and the storms can come up, the pain pushes us back and forth like the winds and the currents. And so the anchored boat is going to be moving back and forth, side to side, and it could even be, if it's only got one tether, it's going to just be spinning in circles maybe, depending on what's going on with the current and the wind. But then last month we were talking about we're pushed by pain, but then we're pulled by vision. We're pulled forward by vision. There's a vector of spirit calling us, and it invites us to that new place, to the new adventure, the higher possibility. And so to follow that vision, not just look at it, we need to pull up our anchor. And we journey outside of that comfort zone, to outside of our known territory. And it demands that we take a risk. We don't know what we're going to encounter. We don't know who's going to be there, what's around the corner. But we begin by raising that anchor. Now, when we look at the consequences of resistance, Dr. Joseph Murphy, in his book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, had this to say. Next slide, here we go. If you set up resistance in your mind to the flow of life through you, this emotional congestion can get snarled up in your conscious mind and cause all kinds of negative conditions. So a lot of times when we're not letting go and we're trying to hang on to the way things are, that's why these negative things come up and say, you should give up. This is, it's better just to stay here and not really go out into the unknown. And, we have to be willing. And it could be that it's like when you're in a little cove and it could be just crazy out here, and then you go out there and it's like beautiful, sunny, or it could be cloudy, stormy. We don't know. Now, there's another New Thought writer, Florence Scovel Shinn. She puts this even more directly. She says, resistance is hell, for it places man in a state of torment. Right? Now, the alternative to this resistance is true non-resistance and detachment and willing to be fully present. And so in Ernest Holmes, in one of the lectures he gave in August of 1957, I think, he said, true non-resistance, it's the next slide. There we go. True non-resistance is the surrender of every arrogant attitude of mind to good and to good alone. Those who have made this surrender have found real peace of mind, happiness, and wholeness in the only place that it can be found, which is within themselves. Right? We keep looking outside of ourselves, but what we've been looking for is within, and it's always been there, patiently waiting for us to discover it. When we surrender into spirit, it's like finding a tugboat. If you're a ship coming into a harbor, the tugboat comes and guides it. So the tugboat captain knows exactly where those hidden rocks are and where the shore is and how you have to turn just in time to get it into your slot. And so the captain of the ship follows the guidance of that tugboat captain. And we see it also when we're coming into an airport. And that airplane tug, it's a tow bar that gets attached to the noise landing or the nose landing gear of the plane and guides it into the port. We don't really think anything about it, but the number of crashes that have been prevented by this little machine and the tow bar is pretty amazing. It just seems totally normal and easy, but it wasn't always that way for these big monstrous airplanes parked right next to each other. Right? In the book 5 Gifts for an Abundant Life, Diane Harmony says, faith is a spiritual conviction that has greater power than any apparent material appearance and/or resistance. Thus, in faith, we can surrender into the vision of our I am and know at the deepest level of our being that it is the Father, Mother, God within us that does the work. Now, this brings up a point where we think it's up to us to get it done. But the world's a little bit more complicated, at least my world is. And so my best efforts, sometimes I just fall flat. But when I surrender to that inner spirit of God, then it's not just me, but it's the entire universe is conspiring for my good. It's amazing the things that surface when I'm doing that. And so one of the affirmations in that 5 Gifts book is, I surrender to the power and presence of God within me. And you say it 100 times a day when you're going through this transformation and trying to build up that vision and consciousness. Now, so it's not our will or our force or our brawn or our intellect that brings these ideas into form. It's not our energy alone. It's that unformed substance that is continually flowing into form. And so we just create the mold. We can have a little tiny cup, or we can have a big barrel, or just wide open arms to accept it all. The more we open up to Spirit, the more Spirit says, yes, my beloved, yes. In the Ernest Holmes, towards the end of his life, Bill Hornaday had taken over speaking, and Dr. Ernest he'd like to go wherever he could to be part of supporting the Science of Mind movement. But he substituted sometimes, and this was back in 1957, shortly before he passed away. And he said at the Wiltern Theater, now I'd like to feel that faith is operated upon by principle, so that I won't feel I have to energize energy. Because if I had to energize energy, I wouldn't know where I would get the energy with which to energize energy. This is one of the secrets of Jesus, non-resistance. Right? So when we resist, that means that we're here by ourselves. It's like having a computer that's disconnected from the internet. It has very limited abilities. But when we connect to the internet, it seems infinite, right? So what a relief also to realize that we don't have to do it all. Great, right? And so when we dream big, it's Spirit dreaming big. And it's all of the wherewithal to bring that about is Spirit. Ernest Holmes continued, Jesus said, who by taking thought could add 1 cubit to his stature? And then turned right around and said, if you believe, it is done. One explains the other. We do not make things happen, we permit them to. We supply the condition under which they may, shall, can, and I believe must. Ernest Holmes was pretty clear. It must happen. And I think Jesus announced it when he said, it is done unto you as you believe from the beginning. Right? So this is why what we believe is so important. Now, during the pandemic, we all had a lot of time to contemplate spiritual truth. And we sheltered at home. We had lots of time to ponder also who we are and to connect with that divine spirit that dwells deep within our heart and soul. And as that outside world halted, as our everyday responsibilities were no longer filled with time spent commuting, working at the office, traveling, or even shopping, although some of us had a lot additional family responsibilities, but the regular rhythm of life was disrupted, right? For many of us, the important questions became, what is really important to me? What could I do with my life that makes a difference in the world? Why am I here? So our center embarked on our Good to Great vision, process that began by raising our conscious awareness to that level of oneness, and then to know and experience that oneness with universal spirit as it manifests through our center. What is the intention for this center? And so we realize that we are something greater than ourselves. The dynamic flow of energy inspired us to envision a higher level of being. Our minds and hearts transcended limitations that we had accepted that weren't necessarily valid any longer. So stepping out in faith to implement that vision is the stage that we're at now. It requires us to trust that divine vision as we move out into the unknown. We move away from that safe harbor. Fearing the unknown, holding on to past limitations, or doubting our vision can lure us all to abandon our commitment. We're quaking in our boots and we just, But staying stuck in the past and fear can build into a powerful resistance, blocking our path forward. Spirit is ready to dissolve all of that resistance by reminding us that it has created the whole universe to support us, right? Not to oppose us, but to support us, because it is all one integrated life force. Right? Everywhere we look, 360 degrees around us, there is part of Spirit ready to support us, to passionately express the divine love and creativity that are the truth of our being. And so this comes back to that simple thing. It's done unto you as you believe. So this morning, I got to put this in practice. So as we were doing our sound check, we've been working on having our hybrid. We had figured out how to do Zoom pretty well. But now that we're trying to be hybrid and we're trying to Zoom online and have that be a great experience and be in the sanctuary, great experience, all at the same time. And the technology is a little bit, it's new to us. Let's put it that way. But we have this great team of people that have been working with their minds and their commitment, and they're willing to listen and just work it through. And so we've got, Sawyer's been here working on it, but he's hosting. Justin's here this morning. We're excited to have him here. He knows a lot about that soundboard, and it's good on the camera, so we're doing that. And Rick came in on Friday and saved the day when we kind of had some of our settings set up, and he took the time to sit down and said, okay, A, B, C, just went through the checklist. And so here we are. It's all working. And so rather than waking up in a panic going, oh no, how's it going to happen today? It's crazy. I just kept saying, okay, it's working perfectly. And, so Spirit just kind of knows it's like greasing the wheels on so it can move forward. So I had to really practice. If I want to see it being as stressful, it could have been, very distressful, and, we would have had no Zoom, or, who knows? You can think the worst. But instead, focusing on the higher possibility, because it's a divine intention that we're able to do this. And so we have that collective commitment to overcome our resistance. Another example. So yesterday, our board and our practitioners had a great retreat at Brenda Haldorn's house. She has a beautiful home in Carson City that she's been working on it. And it has this lovely creek that ran through. Until it got too hot, we were outside, and it was just wonderful to be there, and very pleasant place to think of. We were thinking about how we're going to implement this good to great vision. And when we look at it, there's a cost to do some of this, right? And so one of the big things has been upgrading our audiovisual system. So we started this a while ago. So last October, November, we had an event that Sue Ruda and Dr. Lloyd Tupper helped us put on together. And there was a movie called The Science of Earnest Mind that we put on. And they helped us put it together as a great fundraiser for our center. So we raised our share of the funds to do that AV system upgrade. And then we heard a few weeks ago that the Hefferland Foundation has approved the other half of the funds. And so that check will be here in early August, and we will have both parts. And we will have we'll have a learning curve, but some of our issues will be a lot easier when we have all the equipment. So that part is funded. So that's great. So now we also need to do it again with some other capital improvements. That was $5,700, but we need $55,000 for the building fund this year to do, to do that first increment. And so, it's kind of like, okay, is that, it's easy to go into fear and say, oh, that's a big number. How are we going to do that? And so say, okay, well, the Spirit gave us this vision, and so the Spirit has the ways to get this done. So the first thing we need to do is we need to have a surveyor come out and look at what the existing conditions. Where's the pavement? Where's the building? Where is the landscaping? And this will start the permitting process. And so we have enough funds in our building fund to do the survey. Step 1, yay! Okay. So then, what we also need to have a minor use permit. It's zoned, but we need to put some paperwork into the county. And then once the minor use permit, then we can get a sign permit and get ourselves a new sign so we can be more visible to the world and they can find us a little more easily. We want to slurry seal the parking lot so it's in much better condition. And it looks like we care about the building that we're in. We need to do some repairs to the roof. Our sewer main that goes out to the street, it's getting old, and if we slip line it now, it'll only cost $14,000. If we wait a few years, it'll break and we'll have to dig it up and it'll be a lot more expensive, right? And plus we'd be out of commission for a while. So $55,000, that's the goal there. And then when we were talking about what we want to do yesterday, one of the big things is we want a marketing campaign, all right? We don't want to be the best kept secret in North Tahoe. We want to be out there. And there's all these new people that have moved into town or have been here and just didn't know we were here. So we want to connect with those people. So it's print media, but it's also social media. And, our website is going to be, it's going to be done this week, we hope, maybe next week. But, there's also Facebook and YouTube and meetups and Instagram and Twitter. We're learning all of these things, and we've got some, new people are showing up that know how to do this and are helping you get it done. But, maybe we should hire a consultant to, rather than being on our slow learning curve, maybe we want to go on a fast learning curve. Hire an expert, all right? So that could be $10,000 or $20,000. What would that do for us to grow this center? Because we have great things going on here. Lives are being changed. We know that when we use, each one of us here, I think, has used the Science of Mind principles in some way to make a change in their life. And so we know that other people could benefit from that as well. It's those ancient wisdom, right? So as the board was talking about all of this, this is adding up to $65,000, $75,000, we go, well, maybe this is too expensive. But we say, oh, no, we get what we believe. We believe this is God's vision, and this is God's plan to implement it. So we're looking for good things. And so we're starting that process. Our job is to let go and let God and permit Spirit to manifest these divine blessings by divine grace, right? Instead of holding that tiny cup, we're going to have a big, be open to something greater with our arms wide open. Now, before I close, I want to talk about one last idea, and that is that true transformation renders the previous version wholly unrecognizable sometimes. We have to let go of our whole identity of who we've been sometimes. And so, in our work in New Thought, we work with our minds, with our beliefs, and it's not solely by our actions. It's not something out there. In Romans 12:2, it says, Paul said, "And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect." Right? So what would happen if we completely surrendered to our divine vision? Transformation, right? So that's scary. Maybe we have to be willing to let go and let God take us up to that higher level. A perfect example of what happens is a butterfly's life. There is a metamorphosis that happens. And so when they go from the caterpillar to the adult, it's an amazing process. And so there's something in that caterpillar that compels it to first attach itself to a twig, right? And it's already shed its outside shell 5 times. It's grown to 10 times its original size when it was first became a caterpillar from an egg. And then attached to the twig, and it spins its cocoon or the chrysalis, and then it surrenders itself to that metamorphic process. And this is an intense process. The insect's body basically digests its whole body with digestive fluid, and it turns into this goop. There is no caterpillar anymore. And then in a process, it's kind of like stem cells, that these cells become the butterfly, and it forms the body and the wings. And then when it is born, it takes about an hour for the wings to totally dry out and stretch out, and then it can fly away. But it gives up who it is. I don't know if the caterpillars think about surrendering, but we certainly would. When we change like that. But it's this amazing process about giving up. And this is what is the difference between our highest vision as an individual and that infinitely high vision of oneness from God's vision of ourselves? So the vision pulls us and compels us to surrender our human identity, our smallness, our idea of ourselves. And it's not that we lose ourselves, it's that we discover more of ourselves, who we truly are. Vision pulls us ever closer to God's highest expression of itself as us. So if you are ready to be transformed by the renewal of your mind, for our center, this is the 21st century post-COVID spiritual center would look like if we're on building on our spiritual practices and principles. What will that look like? How will our community change and look new? Faith is not a guaranteed replica of what we have known in the past. In fact, it's most likely going to be something a little bit different or even a lot different. In Hebrews, it says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It is that faith. We believe it in faith before it manifests, right? We know it inside. There's that unformed God stuff that is always out there waiting to come into form, and we set the mold. Whatever our belief and intention is, that's how much it comes into our being. So if you're willing to trust in spirit, and which has already made you perfect in mind, to manifest that as an even greater part of yourself, it's up to us to have a commitment that is greater than our resistance. Let's take this to prayer. I surrender to the power and presence of God within me. I surrender to the power and presence of God within me. In this moment, I am aware of the unity of all life. That one life that is God is my life right now. It is divine love that is now breathing as me. I feel the infinite love, infinite peace, and the infinite joy that flows through my veins right now. Vitality and wholeness are my birthright. In this moment, I relax into the truth that Spirit is expressing itself in me, through me, and as me, as that divine idea, my greater yet to be. And with complete trust in Spirit, I let go of the past and any idea that I am separate and alone. There is only the sense of oneness and peace and excitement as I release all resistance. And it is like opening up to that breeze that flows when the heat of the day breaks, refreshing me and renewing me. My heart and soul make that joyful commitment to be the loving presence of Spirit in the world, now and always, to let go and let God be the truth of who I am. My hope today is greater and then tomorrow is now replaced by a complete faith and conviction and acceptance that this is so. It's not my will, but the divine will with which I am aligned. And I know that this is also the truth for the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee, my spiritual center, and each person who is touched by this center and its activities. We let go of all thoughts and expectations that limit our center or hold it in the past, and we embrace the good to great vision of our beloved spiritual community. We allow Spirit to transform our hearts individually and as a center. We open our arms wide to embrace all people as God, loving God. We step up to answer the call to serve as God, serving God. As we surrender to the loving guidance of Spirit within us, we awaken to that higher consciousness of oneness, of love that heals all things. Our path is clear to co-create our good to great vision. We attract to our center all the people and all the ideas and opportunities and resources required to manifest that divine good to great vision. So with love and joy and peace in our hearts, we grow together as a community. We live courageously in alignment with our vision from the inside out. We serve our greater community. We are grateful for this spiritual community that transforms lives, our life, with inspiration, with fellowship, wonder, and ease. We are home. All is well. Thank you, Father, Mother God, for this day, for this vision, for this our individual parts of manifesting this vision, and for the infinite love that heals us and brings us together with our growing spiritual family, each person precious and unique, to celebrate life in all of its goodness. And so it is. And so Callie has one more song about that.
So I have a little something different for you guys today. I started taking guitar lessons about 2 or 3 months ago. And so I did my first debut with my guitar. So I thought that of all the places to perform for the first time, this would be the best one. So this song's called Wonderfully Made, and I taught it all to myself. I was very happy about it. Well, it's 2 in the morning, and I'm still awake in my bed. And I can't shake these lies that keep running around in my head. And what if I saw me the way that you see me? What if I believed it was true? What if I traded my shame and self-hatred for a chance I believe in you? That you knit me together in my mother's womb, and you say that I've never been hidden from you, and you say that I'm wonderfully, wonderfully made. Oh, you search me and know me, you know when I sit and when I rise. So you must know the choices I've made and the pain that I hide. What if I saw me the way that you see me? What if I believed it was true? What if if I traded the shame and self-hatred for a chance at believing you. 'Cause you knit me together in my mother's womb, and you say that I've never been hidden from you, and you say that I'm wonderfully, wonderfully made. Oh, your eyes, they've seen me before I was born, and you know all the good things you made me for, and you say that I'm wonderfully, wonderfully made. When I consider the heavens above, oh, what is man that you're mindful of us, till you say that we're wonderfully, wonderfully made. And you promise that you'll never leave me, oh Lord, or that you hem me in both behind and before, and I'm wonderfully, wonderfully made. And you knit me together in my mother's womb, and you say that I've never been hidden from you, and you say that I'm wonderfully, wonderfully made. Oh, your eyes, they've seen me before I was born, and you know all the good things you made me for, and I'm wonderfully, wonderfully made. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Lola.
Yeah, that was a perfect song. Thank you, Callie. Wonderfully made, and that's that divine intention for each one of us. When we get out of our comfort zone, what wonderful things can happen.
Yeah, that was totally out of the comfort zone.
All right. But so this is our prosperity time. So if you would take your gift of our time, talent, and treasure and hold it over your heart. And at CSL Tahoe-Truckee, we know that God is our infinite source. And so please read our prosperity affirmation along with me. I gratefully and joyfully share my offering, which flows from God, my infinite source. My gift blesses this center and all who are guided, healed, and empowered by its activities. All I share with life returns to me blessed. And so it is. And so if you're here in the sanctuary, we have, with COVID, we've got some optional envelopes. We're not passing the basket, but there is a basket that will magically appear before you leave for you to put it in there. I think it's over here on the side. So we'll get that fixed. But anyway, so I'm doing that to be safe until we're 100% out of COVID. And if you're online, there's some instructions about how you can send us a check or do it by PayPal. But we're going to sing our offertory song, which is I Trust in God, a Ricky Byers song. And we have a recording of Colleen Akiko singing this song for us.
I'm thankful, so grateful. I am one in the spirit all around me.
I am thankful,
so grateful.
I trust in
God.
I surrender, I surrender. I am one in the spirit all around me. I surrender, I surrender. I trust.
I am one in the spirit all around me.
I surrender,
I surrender. I trust in God.
I am thankful,
so grateful.
I am
Grateful, so thankful.
I am thankful,
So grateful.
I trust
in God.
Thank you all. So I want to welcome back all of our friends that are here in line, and I see people on online. We have a good showing of people that are coming here from wherever they were. Some people were here at our workshop yesterday, so they're taking it a little bit easy on their commute today. That's good. And we have a new visitor with us today, Alanya. And so Alana. So introduce yourself to Alana after our service. We're grateful that you're here, and we have a welcome packet. If you were there, and you can leave your name and address and email, and we'll put you on our newsletter so you'll know everything that's going on. I have just a few quick thank yous. The board and practitioners, they were at our beautiful home of Brenda Haldorn yesterday, and we spent the day talking about implementing it. And and it takes a lot of effort and commitment, and I'm so grateful that we have such a dedicated board that really listens to Spirit and is willing to say yes, make that commitment. We had the AV team all here today. This is great. And I've already talked about Penny and Nancy and Tom O'Neill working on the garden. So, but now with the rest of our announcements, we have our Associate Minister, Reverend Rick Carney. Yes, I didn't. We can just.
Okay.
In order to follow the order of the slides, this will be easier.
Okay. Welcome to the CSL Tahoe-Truckee interstate service. We have California and Nevada represented today. We go international next week. Just want to say thank you all for being here. As you know, we are recording our service, and it will be available online for you to view, or for others to view a little bit later on during the week. We always do this, so feel free to go back and re-listen to some of Reverend Pam's spectacular messages. And the links to those recordings can be found in our newsletter as well as on our website and on Instagram. So check that out if you will. Next slide, please, Sawyer. Thanks. Reverend Pam will be back next week with her talk, Free Your Mind, and the rest will follow. Subra Doyle will be here as our guest musician, and Michael Brandman, who is going to pass his oral boards, essentially a cross-examination in the weekend coming up, will be a brand new practitioner at that point. Congratulations, Michael. Looking forward to that, and hearing you give us your blessing and the readings of next week. Next slide, if you please. Thanks. We have lots of things going on here in our center. The first of which is the class Spiritual Economics starting this Thursday. And so there's still an opportunity to register by reaching out to the center office, either by phone or email. Let us know that you're coming.
Can we switch and have Brenda?
Oh, this is the point for Brenda. Oh, forgive me. Let's stop share and let Brenda have the floor.
Good morning, everyone. And I would love to personally invite you to consider class Starter Economics based on the book of the same name by Eric Butterworth. This class is a powerful one, and it's one that really, really impacted my life personally. And I'm living the results of the profound shifts that came through as a result of studying this material. So I'd like to just share with you a brief excerpt from the book, from the introduction. And Eric says, to get the most from this study, you will want to declare your independence from the belief that your personal welfare is completely tied to the economic fluctuations of the world out there. You will also want to establish yourself in the unassailable conviction that the free flow of substance can only be dammed up from within, and that no one can keep your good from you but you. As you become conscious of the laws of spiritual economics, you can effect some really dramatic life changes, from indigence to affluence. The word affluence is an overworked word in our time, usually implying cars and houses and baubles of all kinds. Its literal meaning is an abundant flow, and not things at all. When we are consciously centered in the universal flow, we experience inner direction and the unfoldment of creative activity. And two, but prosperity is not just having things, it's the consciousness that attracts things. So in your life, if you are experiencing any sort of lack or limitation, and not necessarily just financial, it could be in relationships, it could be in creativity and inspiration, it could even be in health. If there is a block in the flow in your life in any way, please consider joining us this Thursday. In this class, will be a hybrid class. I will personally be physically at the center with all of the students that are local to the area, but we will be, just like we're doing this service, we'll have other students joining us via Zoom. And one of those students is my very own sister, who will be joining us from Alaska. So I look at this emerging technology and our ability to come together in this way as one of the blessings that came to us via the pandemic. Because up to this point, we haven't really had the opportunity to do classes in this way or Sunday services. So my phone number is available on the, let's see, it's on the website, I believe. If you have any questions about this class, there is a cost. It's $245. $45 of that is because this is an official class through the Centers for Spiritual Living. There will be a registration, and that fee is for that registration. Please don't let a lack of funds stop you from taking advantage of this opportunity. Partial scholarships are available. Opportunities to serve the center are available in lieu of a scholarship. So you are more than welcome to give me a call personally, talk to me about this, if you need to make some other arrangements. And also, if you have any questions at all about the class or what's necessary, it's for 8 weeks. It's from 6 to 9 p.m. on Thursdays. And I will be live there at the center. So thank you so much. Have a lovely day.
Okay, let's move along on the slide.
Yeah, just click the slide. There you go.
There you go. I'm going to cover Bob's route. And if anyone else wants to come out and help us do our part for the local community, please do join us from 9 to 12 next Saturday there in Kings Beach. Next slide, if you please. And then on Sunday, after the Sunday service and Rev Pam's presentations, we will have a potluck and pool party at the Dollar Point Association pool over there in Dollar Point. We have this place set aside that we are able to come together as a community for a potluck and fun afternoon. Friends and children especially are invited. There will be lifeguards on duty the entire time, and a chance to get wet, stay cool, and have some fun playing bocce. Great time together. All right, next one, please. We also have a number of events that are coming up in the long term. The first of which is the SOAR virtual retreat sponsored by the Centers for Spiritual Living. It is taking place in August, the 13th and 14th. We are still in the early bird registration period where you can get a discount on the registration fee. It goes up on July 17th. So make sure that you get your reservation in today. Next slide, please. Thank you. Another event taking place is the International New Thought Alliance having its virtual annual Congress in July, the 20th to 22nd. Details can be found at newthoughtevents.org. Next slide. We have an in-person event coming up, not here, but in Big Sky, Montana, which is just a wonderful ski resort location, summertime place to be. Having been there myself during the month of September, the trees are changing color. It is absolutely gorgeous place in the month of September. This event is being sponsored by an interfaith community, and so it's not just CSL, but there will be lots of good talks and presentations and workshops and time to connect with other people. Sounds like Alana's been there before. She's, oh my gosh. Oh,
Yeah.
all right. If you have any questions, see Alana. All right. Next one, if you please.
Yeah, we have 5 people going so far.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's it for me. So I'll turn the mic back over to Rev Pam.
All right. Okay. Well, we have we're getting late, so we have our drop-in classes that are still ongoing. That you're free to join us, and our bookstore is here for you. Jerry's books are you're going to find some of her treasures from her life, and so maybe that'll become your treasure. And I also want to introduce our practitioners, because in Center for Spiritual Living, we believe in prayer because it works. It makes a big difference. And so our practitioners that we have here today, our practitioner of the day was Nancy O'Neill. She's available for prayer after the service for a quick prayer or a longer session. Michael Brandman will be there. Well, next week he'll be there. Reverend Rick Carney is here. And online we have Shirley Clark. And let's see. Oh, and Brenda, of course, our teacher extraordinaire. That is also available. So please, if you need prayer, ask for prayer, and we can start that new intention going for your life. So we're going to go back to forming a circle for our closing song, and then we'll have our affirmation slide. Yes, Bob?
I was going to ask if I could have a minute to tell a story that's appropriate from what we did today.
Sure, we're already long gone. So
last year I had a nice surprise down in Mexico. I had a call from a gal from Reader's Digest. I had submitted a story, and they accepted.
You want to use the mic so it'll be on the line?
I think everyone can hear me.
Well, the online people can't hear you.
Okay, so this is appropriate because of what we saw about butterflies earlier. I have a stepdaughter in Mexico who's a very educated woman. She's a veterinarian. And this happened to her. She's told me so many amazing stories about her adventures with animals, rappelling down cliffs to tie up horses that fell off a cliff, or castrating big giant hogs that are 3 times bigger than her. But this is her favorite story. And Reader's Digest paid me $100 for submitting this story, and it's really sweet. She was in a room with her adopted aunt, just talking, and she kicked a can of old glue out of the way. And this is a simple room. In Mexico, there's a lot of times there's just a cord hanging down with a bare light bulb, and that was basically the room. And they noticed a butterfly that kept spiraling up and down this cord. It just kept going up and then coming down, and they wondered, what's going on with this butterfly? So Pam reached up and grabbed it in her hands and looked at it, and it was missing the lower quarter of one of its wings. So they just looked at each other and went, okay. They walked over to a table. Martinita, her aunt, got some toothpicks out and held the butterfly down with the wing spread. And Pam got a pair of scissors and a napkin and cut a little prosthesis in the shape of a quarter of a wing, and used and for no accident, about this contact cement she just kicked, she glued this prosthesis onto the wing and let it set for a minute. They let the butterfly go, and it got up and flew out the window. And they were congratulating themselves when all of a sudden, a minute later, the butterfly came back into the room, circled perfectly around the room, and landed right on Pamela's heart.
Oh.
Kind of gives you goosebumps. Yeah. Anyway, I thought you'd like that picture.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Miracles. Always. All right. It's okay. It's okay. You have fellow souls here. Oh, here comes Sawyer. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. Oh, and we have our affirmation. Okay. Quick change artist. Quick change artist. Well, no, we'll stay here. It's just one sentence, basically. Next week we'll try the affirmation first, and then we can go for it. We'll get this down. Okay. Well, we said let's see. We don't have the vision, but I do on my magic cheat sheet here. Okay.
Here we go.
Okay. I commit to the highest vision for my life. And so it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I
Yeah.
actually saw you in Hansen.